Broncos with Mile High Sports' Cody Roark on the Jim Davis Show.
And with us, he covers the Broncos for Mile High Sports. He has the Locked On Broncos podcast. He also covers the Broncos for us here on the Team Sports Network. Cody Roark joins us. Good morning, Cody. How are you?
I'm good, Jim. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. So that's more like we were hoping for with better job of the offensive line. The defense, I think, has played really well throughout the course of the first three games, but yesterday they were really special. 7 sacks on Baker Mayfield, and offense have been playing really well with Baker and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Just the way Bo Nix played yesterday, and when you have a clean pocket and you have time to throw the football, you're going to look like a much different quarterback. You can run the ball, too. There's a lot of things that went well and went right yesterday for Denver.
Yeah. No, I think everything kind of trickled down. It was like a snowball effect. The offense goes down. It's a little surprising because usually when Sean wins the coin toss, he always defers to receive the ball in the second half. But decided to say, you know what, we're going to take the ball. And then, really the game plan was, I found it very interesting. It was to come out and throw it as much as they did. I think their first 3 plays were throwing plays. And, obviously that first one there, a nice back shoulder there from Bo to Cortland on the left side. And then the next one's a little pop shot to Josh Reynolds against the cover 2. And just right there, now, they're in rhythm. And they really kind of, I think, opened up the run game with the pass, which is usually we always say in the coaching world, we want to use the run game to open up the pass, especially out of play action. But Denver came out and they were slinging it. And I found it very interesting, too. It's coming off the heels where last week the Steelers cornerbacks after the game said, they had a limited playbook. It seems like they looked entirely different this week, a lot of rhythm and a lot of just, I'd say, good decisions there from Bo. And on top of that, not only was he effective with his arm, he was also effective with his legs on the ground.
Tyler Beatty has 70 yards. We need to be seeing more of Tyler Beatty right now, don't we? I hear Sean Payton say, look, we got 3 backs we got to feed, and I'm normally a guy that only plays 2 backs. But to me, Javonte doesn't look like he wants to eat. And maybe it's because he lost all that weight. He's just not hungry anymore. I don't know. Just to me, Tyler Beatty has looked, even on that one carry against Pittsburgh for 16 yards, had the burst, broke tackles, looked good yesterday. To me, Tyler Beatty's a guy you need to take a longer look at considering how he's playing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think a big thing, too, is when it comes to the run game, Sean's got to do this as well. He thinks he's got to roll with the hot hand, and the hot hand really has been, if you look at from preseason to now, has been Tyler Beatty. Tyler Beatty's, or, Bidet. I mean, that's the thing. We're trying to figure out where the pronunciation is, because last year he said it was Beatty, and then apparently this week, he told someone on Broncos PR it's Bidet. So we're all trying to figure out which one, what are we going to call him at this point?
Yeah, because we're giving Tim Brando grief about that. He's like, his name's Beatty, isn't it? And her, Broncos announcers say Beatty, not Bidet. So, whatever. Yeah. Tyler, make up your mind, my man. Make up your mind. I'm sorry. Go
Tyler
ahead.
B. That's what we call him.
Yeah.
I was going to say, he was for the Broncos offense. It kind of was a bidet because he cleaned everything up in the run game there for him. So, we'll roll with that there. But, he's got the hot hand. He's the most explosive. I think out of all runners in Week 3 so far, he had the 3rd fastest speed clocked by NFL Next Gen Stats. And he just seems to hit the hole, and his vision seems to just be there. And, look, I don't know what's going on with Javonte in terms of why he's just not able to have success running the football. It's one of the weirdest things. But Bo was on track once again to lead the team in rushing until Beatty broke off that 43-yard run there in the fourth quarter. I just thought that Denver controlled the time of possession, the flow of the game, really the entire game. I'd say after the Javonte Williams fumble, and then obviously Tampa went on a little bit of run there, and they scored a touchdown. I thought Denver did a great job responding back with the 2-minute drill to get down and kick a field goal going into halftime, and obviously knowing that, hey, Tampa Bay's going to get the ball coming out of half. Denver just came out and they brought it, and they did a fantastic job. I think communication on the back end of the secondary, the front 7 played well in terms of stopping the run. Bucky Irving broke off a couple of big runs there. He's just a fast and explosive guy, but you just have to account for everything that Denver was able to do. Special teams wise, they also played well. So I really think it was a complete game, really, in all 3 phases here for Denver.
It seems for me watching it that Javonte and Jaleel, to a certain extent, are not trusting either their eyes or the offensive line that they're going to be able to keep the hole as designed, because they seem to do a lot of dancing, whereas Tyler Beatty or Bidet or however you say it seems to, get the ball and explode through wherever he's supposed to go.
Yeah, no, and I think that's really kind of been the consistent theme we've seen from him. Javonte just looks entirely different. Javonte looked really good in training camp, but when you look in the games itself, Beatty's been the most consistent, I'd say, from training camp all the way through the preseason. He scored a touchdown in every preseason game this year. Every game he's played in, actually, he's scored a touchdown, minus obviously this past week there. But I just think he gives them a boost at the running back position. You got the ball security factor there too. He did a really good job protecting the football. I just think he gives Denver, a little bit more electricity there, and I think he and Jaleel McLaughlin complement each other really well. And look, it's rough to say I love Javonte. Javonte's a fantastic human being, and I think was a fantastic player before his knee injury. But I think now you have Beatty emerging here. You still have Jaleel, who's flashy, and you're going to have Audric Estime coming back here in a few weeks. I don't know if Javonte's going to be back with this team next year, considering that he has struggled the last couple of years, which is unfortunate because you really wanted to root for a guy like that. You want him to come back, and look, maybe he does, but I don't think he's going to be in Denver.
Cody Roark with us today, looking back at the Broncos' win over Tampa Bay, 26-7. DeAndre Tillman, who was a standout in the UFL, had his first game with the Broncos. Looked pretty good yesterday. 2 sacks. With Baron Browning out, he got the chance to play some snaps on the edge, and he looked really good yesterday.
Yeah, no, he did. I thought he did a really good job coming in. I really like that young rotation there. I thought, obviously Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito, each of those guys had a sack. They did tremendous there. Nick Benito came away really close on a couple of plays of getting a strip sack. And then you look at, Jonah Ellis. I thought he played the edge well. And then DeAndre Tillman came in. I thought he did a fantastic job as well, using a combination of finesse and power to get after Baker Mayfield. I think Denver, interior-wise, their defensive line, I felt like was very stout on the interior gaps. You didn't get too far upfield, but they also didn't get pushed inside where any gaps were going to open up for a guy like Baker to run or for the run game to get going. And those guys maintained edge contain on the outside. They did a fantastic job there of tracking, coming into the game. Going into Sunday, Baker Mayfield through 2 weeks, he had 8 rushing attempts for 55 yards, and so his mobility was definitely a factor the Broncos were trying to account for going into this game. They did a good job of that. He had 1 rushing attempt for 0 yards, sacked 7 times, as you mentioned there, and really had nowhere to go. It was a frustrating performance, I think, for him, and he even mentioned it, that they got out-coached, they got their butts kicked in every facet of the game there. This was a good response by a Broncos team that, after an 0-2 start, everyone was starting to question, okay, hey, here we go. This team hasn't changed. And look, through 2 weeks, Denver didn't look like they changed, but all of a sudden this looked like the team on Sunday that they can be, that they think that they can be. And so now it's like, hey, how can you continue to stack it? I don't know if it's maybe getting away from Denver, but it seems like the road trip certainly has helped them so far. So hopefully they can maintain that going into the game this week against the Jets.
Alex Palczewski got the starter right tackle with Mike McGlinchey out with the MCL. The line played really well yesterday. Didn't miss a beat. In defense of Mike McGlinchey, he has been their highest, is graded out the highest by Pro Football Focus on the line. But I don't know if Palczewski, his presence made a difference yesterday. He certainly played well. I did read a piece with Mark Schlereth and Ryan Harris, who comes on our program, a couple former Bronco offensive linemen, Cody, talking about how what they see from the Broncos offensive line is a lot of guys, going to the ground too much, not the kind of play expect from the caliber of that offensive line, getting pushed around too much, not physical nearly enough. Yesterday, I think we I don't know if they read that article or watched the film and realized that there had to be a change there. It was definitely a different looking offensive line, which also made life for Bo Nix so much better with the way they played.
Yeah, according to NFL Next Gen stats, the interior of Ben Powers, Luke Wattenberg, and Quinn Miners didn't allow a single pressure all game. And look, granted, no Vita Vea, but the Tampa Bay defense historically has always been good. Vita's been a guy who's been battling some injuries the last couple of years. They have good depth behind them. They have good outside pass rushers. I was just very impressed with how Denver approached the game there in terms of keeping Bo Nix upright. And look, there was one play in particular on Bo. He scrambled for 22 yards. Where Garrett Bowles gets beat on the left side, and it looks like Bo is about to get destroyed for maybe a potential strip sack. Didn't even look like, just great sense about him, and I don't know if we would call it awareness or sense, whatever. but he avoids it and runs for 22 yards. And look, he's got wheels. I think that was one thing that was evident. Bo can run the football really well. He's very fast there. If I had to do one critique on Bo at all, I would have to say when he's trying to scramble to the outside, how he holds the football. Sometimes he palms it with one hand. There was an example. It was a free play here for Denver in the game. There's an offsides penalty, but he rolls to the right, tries to avoid some pressure, holds the ball with one hand. It gets knocked out. Tampa Bay recovers. Luckily, Denver, there was a free play. They get the ball right back there. I would just like to see him protect that football a little better when scrambling or trying to get to the outside. I know he's got big hands where he can do that, but we always preach ball security. Hold that thing with two hands and live to see another day.
He hit 9 different receivers, 216 yards on the day. Did not throw an interception. I thought you're right. That's a legitimate critique of him. But for Bo Nix, having the time to throw the football, and they booted him some. I thought there was one play he really showed his savvy where he had pressure on him. It was like a corner blitz, and he just threw it into the ground to kill the play. I was just impressed where he looked dramatically better. But once again, quarterbacks are, regardless if they're a Hall of Fame caliber guy or a rookie like Bo Nix, if your offensive line doesn't pass protect, it exposes a lot of weaknesses in your game. And Bo certainly played well yesterday with that line playing as well as they did in front of him.
Yeah, no, and look, I definitely some questions. I know it's one game, but with Alex Palczewski stepping in at right tackle, part of me is also thinking hey, Denver's offense, they seem to play a little better. You didn't notice anything bad about the offensive line really at right tackle, which was good. And going back on some of the film stuff, for some reason NFL Pro, I don't know what's going on with their program, was able to only get through the first quarter and a half. Watching Palczewski on that, he looks solid. He's not getting beat on any play significantly. He's using power. His communication is there, obviously with the guard when they have to double team somebody. And he did really good in some one-on-one situations there on the outside. So, maybe I know Denver signed into a 5-year contract. A year and a half ago in free agency, but Denver might have something, I think, there with Palczewski potentially at the right tackle spot, and obviously that's going to be an area where, hey, you got to keep playing better. And if there is a situation where when Mike McGlinchey returns and he struggles, I think you can maybe look at Palczewski as an option for them next season at that position. Denver has no time to wait around. They have to put their best guys on the field, and we'll see how it goes. But obviously, McGlinchey's going to have to continue to improve. I thought he's played well so far early on here in the season. It just seemed like a different flow on the offensive line, and I'm not sure quite what it is just yet.
Could McGlinchey play left tackle? Could they part ways with Garrett Bowles and Palczewski's your right tackle?
It's very possible. I'm trying to remember. I don't think McGlinchey has played at all left tackle in the NFL. I think he's always been right with San Francisco. It's certainly a possibility. I know one thing they're not going to do. Sean Payton's already said that Palczewski's a right tackle. He's not the type of guy that they think is going to play, that should play left tackle. And so I think that they'd keep him there. Very curious, though. Because Denver does. Left tackle, beyond the season, has to be addressed at some point. Or if Garrett Bowles were to somehow go down this year, what does your left tackle situation look like? Right now it's Matt Parrott, where I don't have a lot of confidence if he's the starting left tackle in terms of keeping the offensive flow and rhythm going, keeping ball upright consistently. There's a lot of things that he struggles with, in particular against power rushers. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, left tackle has to be a concern here for Denver going forward. And, maybe they do ask McGlinchey to make a switch. I don't know how that would be received. But you got this contract duration, I think 3 years left on that deal. So now you have to figure out what is best for the team in that situation.
Started all 12 games at left tackle at Notre Dame.
Okay. So he made the switch to the NFL to right. Okay. Yeah. Certainly a possibility.
Yeah, just something to kind of throw out there to consider in the future. Make sure you check out Cody's report, 420 today, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings and Chrome Pest Control. Cody Roark, our Broncos Insider. Make sure you check out his podcast, LockedOnBroncos.com, and read his work at MileHighSports.com. Cody, always appreciate it, man. Thank you. Oh, and how about that Tiger win? You got to talk about that.
Hey, game of the year. What a game. Absolutely incredible. I think between both teams, I know Fruta, they're down a little bit here at the 5A level. Obviously, they're still a tough team, and they still run the ball very, very well. We saw that on display just happy for GJ. The last time GJ beat Fruta was, I think, when my first year coaching. I think it was 2013. I think that was it. So it's been a while. I think it was 2014. It was it was 2014. But yeah, 2013, 2014, GJ beat Fruta those years in a row, and then after that, it's been hard for us. So very happy, proud of the coaching staff. I think what Coach McKee's done over there for GJ has been fantastic. Fruta, I know they're going through the struggles of a really tough schedule right now. They're still a very good program, and I know Coach Russ is also trying to get his guys rallied there. So great for the Western Slope, though.
All right. You got to give your sign off here, right? Or
yes, go Tigers.
All right. Don't want to be accused of not letting you get the